It's 6 p.m. Cairo local time, and it's time for English news bulletin on Channel 2, starting up with the headlines of the day. Prime Minister Madbouli discusses the government economic vision 2030. The Foreign Minister Abdel takes part in the 20th round of the Bled Strategic Forum in Slovenia. The Israeli occupation fire kills at least 25 Gazans across the enclave. Welcome back. The news in full. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli asserted that the government have an economic vision that extends until 2030 and goes beyond the limits of the agreement with the International Monetary Fund. And the Prime Minister also pointed out that the vision built on various sectorial strategies for key economic drivers, including the industry, tourism, agriculture and information technology, which based on the economic reforms held during the past period. The Prime Minister also remarks came during the Cabinet weekly meeting held in the government headquarters in the new administrative capital. And the Foreign Minister Badr Abdel took part in the 20th round of the Bled Strategic Forum in Slovenia on Tuesday. And in a panel discussion under the title of Reviving the Leadership and the Pluralism at a Time of Conflict Fragmentation, he said that the revitalizing the multilateralism draws the need for reforming the Security Council and the global bodies. And he said also that the global public opinion no more believes in international bodies, which is extremely dangerous. And he warned that against the double standards by the West, saying for Ukraine that the West talks about occupation, while for Gaza and the Middle East, the global powers shamefully accept the event. He also said that the Security Council cannot be reformed, and the voice, without the voice of the global South, is threatening that Cairo's position in support of the African Union's demand for 4 seats in the Security Council. And he said also that the perceives the BRICS mainly an economic group, and he also stressed that Cairo's position against the depolarization. The session, which brought together a number of foreign ministers, tackled means of boosting the global leadership and reestablishing a multilateral global system. And the 2-day forum in Slovenia's the city of the Bled is the global platform for exchange of ideas and views. And on the sidelines of the Bled Strategic Forum in Slovenia, Prime Minister Dr. Badr Abdel has held talks with the Slovenian President Nataša Pirc-Musar. And during the meeting, the Foreign Minister hailed the joint friendly relations between the two countries and the ways to enhance the bilateral cooperation during the coming phase. And talks also focused on Egypt's efforts to achieve the ceasefire in Gaza Strip and the Slovenia's supportive role for the Palestinian rights. And he also praised the Slovenia's role in supporting Egypt and the European Union authorities. The Foreign Minister also invited the Slovenian President to visit Egypt and to attend the inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum. And also on the sidelines of the Bled Forum in Slovenia, Foreign Minister Abdel held talks with European Council Chief Antonio Costa. During the meeting, Abdel expressed hopes that an Egyptian-European summit be held in the near future. The talks tackled developments in Gaza as he warned from the repercussions of the Israeli settlement policies and expansions of the military operations that aim quelling the establishment of a Palestinian state. And he said also an imperative to pressure the Israelis to accept the ceasefire initiative and allowing the entry of aid without acceptable conditions. And he said also that he is hope that EU will take the active steps to put an end to Israeli crime and urge the Israeli side to commit an international and the humanitarian law. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration, Dr. Badr Abdelati, reaffirmed also Egypt's support for the vital and irreplaceable role of the United Nations Relief and the Work Agency of the Palestinian refugees in the Near East in supporting the Palestinian people. The minister's remarks came during his meeting on Tuesday with the UN Under-Secretary General and the Commissioner General of the UNRWA, Philip Lazzarini, on the sidelines of the Bled Strategic Forum on Slovenia, where he stressed Egypt's full support to the UNRWA's pivotal role in this respect. And also on the sidelines of the Bled Forum in Slovenia, Foreign Minister Abdelati held talks with the Rafael Grossi, the Director General of the Atomic Energy. The talks discussed efforts by Cairo to de-escalate the strifes in the Middle East region, and they discussed preparations for the restart of the talks between Iran and the United States, especially after the activation of the UN mechanism for imposing the punitive measures through the Security Council. And also he reviewed during the talks the communication to allow the suitable atmosphere for introduce diplomatic solutions and dialogue. The talks also stressed the need to reach the sustainable settlement that takes into account the interest of all parties to achieve security and regional stability. And to Gaza, where at least 25 people were killed in Israeli occupation strikes across Gaza, at least 16 of them in Gaza City, and scores more were wounded. The local health authorities said that the figure included 5 who were killed while waiting in a food line in the south, a strike in an apartment where 9 were killed and 7 were killed by Israeli occupation tank fire. Local authorities added that the 4 people were also killed in northern Gaza. Meanwhile, 13 more Palestinians, including 3 children, have died of the malnutrition and starvation in Gaza in the past 24 hours. According to the Gaza health officials, the war in Gaza began on October 7, 2023. Killing over 62,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's occupation air and ground war in Gaza since then. The Israeli Security Cabinet meeting, including angry exchanges between Netanyahu and his ministers who want to push ahead with the Gaza City offensive. The military chief, Eyal Zamir, who was urged the politicians to reach a ceasefire deal, said that the campaign will endanger hostages and put further strain on the already overstretched army. This follows the similar exchange between Zamir and Netanyahu's cabinet last month. And to the UK, where the British Foreign Minister David Lammy said he was outraged by Israel's refusal to allow enough aid to enter Gaza, as he announced £15 million to fund medical assistance for Gaza and in the region. Addressing the House of the Commons, David Lammy acknowledged a declaration from the UN-backed hunger monitor to integrated security phase classifications last month that Gaza is experiencing a man-made famine. The British Foreign Minister also said that they also continue to work alongside with the regional partners, including Egypt and Jordan, to enable UN and the NGOs to ensure aid reaches those most in need. Lani also added that the UK funds filled hospital operations in Gaza through a charity and work with the World Health Organization in Egypt to help treat some of the 8,000 from Gaza who have been medically evacuated there. And a flotilla of the ships departed from the Barcelona to the Gaza Strip Sunday to the humanitarian aid and activists on board in an attempt to break the long Israeli blockade of the Palestinian territory by the sea. And this comes as Israeli occupation has stepped up its offensive on Gaza City, limiting the deliveries of food and basic supplies in North and the Palestinian territory. The global summit flotilla is carrying food, water and the medicine. Activists on board have demanded safe passage to deliver the much-needed aid and opening of a humanitarian sea corridor. And according to Belgian Foreign Minister Maxime Prevert, his country will recognize a Palestinian state of the UN General Assembly, adding the international pressure on the Israeli after similar moves by Australia, Britain, Canada and France. Details in the coming report.
Belgium will recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly, according to Foreign Minister Maxime Prévost, adding to international pressure on the Israelis after similar moves by Australia, Britain, Canada and France. Under mounting global criticism for its war in Gaza, the Israelis have been angered by the pledges to formally recognize a Palestinian state during this month's UN event. Belgium will join the signatories of the New York Declaration, paving the way for a two-state solution or a Palestinian state coexisting in peace alongside the Israelis. The decision comes in light of the humanitarian tragedy unfolding in Palestine, particularly in Gaza, and in response to the violence perpetrated by the Israelis in violation of international law. Belgium intends to recognize a Palestinian state as part of a joint diplomatic initiative led by France and Saudi Arabia. The move is described as a political signal also aimed at condemning the Israeli settlement expansion and military presence in the territories. U.S. President Donald Trump has criticized Canada's decision to back Palestinian statehood, and Rubio has said the decision by France is reckless. Belgium would also levy 12 firm sanctions on the Israelis, such as a ban on importing products from their settlements, review of public procurement policies with the Israeli companies, and declaring Hamas leaders persona non grata in Belgium. European Union foreign ministers remained sharply divided during a meeting in Copenhagen on Saturday over the war in Gaza, with some urging the bloc to exert significant economic pressure on the Israelis, while others firmly opposed such measures.
And still with Belgium, where Cairo welcomed the announcement by the Belgium of its intention to recognize a Palestinian state during the 80th round of the UN General Assembly, the Foreign Ministry said the move is an important historical step to support the Palestinian rights and back the Palestinian people's right for self-determination and embody the rights to land-linked independent state according to the borders of the June 4th, 1967, with East Jerusalem as its capital. The statement by the Foreign Ministry said that the Belgium decision and decisions by other countries in the same regard recently is a practical reflection of wide international support for the Palestinian people and their legitimate aspirations. It said also that such decisions also reflect the global desire to achieve just peace and coexistence in the Middle East. And to Ukraine, where more than 300 people were evacuated from the apartments overnight following a Ukrainian drone attack on the capital of the Rostov region. The Russian Defense Ministry said that air defense units destroyed 13 Ukrainian drones over the Rostov region overnight. The attack damaged several apartment buildings in the city of the Rostov-on-Don, where 3 people, including children, and were lightly injured. The Rostov-on-Don mayor said that the residents were relocated to a school while bomb disposal experts were removing the shell. Meanwhile, Moscow's defense ministry said on Tuesday that Russian forces have captured the village of the Fedorkiva in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. And to the word of the business, where Egypt's stock market indices mixed on close on Tuesday, affected by the selling operations by Egyptian and Arab corporations, while the Egyptian and Arab investors on the foreign corporations went into purchasing operations. The capital mark for companies in the bourse gained about £6 billion, reaching £2.398 billion. The benchmark EGX 30 index went down by 0.10% to end the dealings at 65,153.39 points. And the equal weighted index EGX 70 rose by 0.56%, adding 0.90 points, while the more expanded EGX 100 edged higher by about 0.34% to reach 23,441.17 points. So by this, we come to the end of our news bulletin on Channel 2. Thank you for watching, and this is Sahar Al-Talawi. Stay tuned.